Good morning, good people. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. It's about 6 a.m. Here we are in southwestern Nevada, about 60 miles west, 60 miles east of Death Valley. It's 70 miles south of Area 51. That's where we is. The crossroads of the Nevada frontier, hard scrabble, sharp-elbowed, hacking people. You can always tell somebody from here. You just can't tell them very much, as they say. So, but it is fertile ground to learn about people, what motivates them, how they tick. Been a fascinating 4 years. Today is the last episode, the last installment of the State Pen Workbook. We are going to retire it. It's had a long, fruitful career of perhaps 12 years, going back to the live classroom days, all on YouTube, starting with Larson Training Centers. But if you click on the bell down below, it is for the Larson Training Centers channel. So you can go all the way back to the beginning. And it is separated by week. So you can go back to week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. The poetry memorization part, all on there. Probably 3,000, 4,000 videos. So we don't need to keep doing them. Probably won't. Why have we been doing it for so long? Even though we haven't had classes since after COVID. Well, since we came to Pahrump. We have been doing really not sporadically, but not really doing active classes here like we did in the classroom, starting with Santa Fe Springs, Larson Training Centers, then Las Vegas, Downtown Village, or the Downtown Learning Center, Tony Shea's Downtown Learning Center, and then 2 other classrooms. Ultimately, finally, the last classroom was on Sahara near Maryland Parkway, where we had active classrooms. We never had I don't think we've ever had an actually, we did in Honeysuckle. Right, we did. And that would have been 2 years ago, was our last active class with 10 people or more. And we've been doing the podcasts live on YouTube going back to 2012, 2011, 15 years. So it's been a good run, but it's time to retire this. The people who took the course live who do log in, not frequently, but enough to kind of reinvigorate them, refresh them, bring them back to their roots, to a positive time when they were in prison or jail. Right. So we're retiring that. And in May, we will be starting this. What did Jesus actually say? Because I've spent pretty much the last 2.5 years in the graduate program in pastoral ministry at Santa Clara, getting my chaplaincy certificate, and really focused on the nuns, going after the nuns. So as I say to pastors, they are guided by the shepherd who knows his sheep, and the sheep know him. And when the flock of 100, one of them goes missing, the shepherd goes after that one. Here, our goal with this, with the new course, is the 500 sheep that are not in the flock, to bring them into better existence. Instead of having to fend off the wolf by themselves, they now have a shepherd, and this is in the positive sense. This isn't the shepherd who leads them to the butcher shop. So in May, we will be starting that. Between now and May, we might be having just a weekly thing, just to remind people, give a quick little status update. Here's where we's at in our thing. Subscribe, do little things to get people. So when May 1st comes, we is ready. So we're building that good system. And let's see, what else? What else? Well, I'm thinking about another project we're working on here, but in the beginning, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's just do our normal thing. We'll go out in style with continuing to do what we do. Advice from an 80-year-old: be brave and courageous. When you look back on life, you'll regret the things you didn't do more than the ones you did. Okay, so we don't want to have those kinds of regrets. Right, Sebastian. Seth Godin, rehearsing possibility. Most of us would like to live with wonder, grace, and optimism. No regrets. Perhaps it pays to practice this in advance. When considering any given moment, is there a glimmer of good worth focusing on? Is there a glimmer of good worth focusing on? Even making a comment about? Our narrative of reality often becomes our reality. That's a good line. Our narrative of reality often becomes our reality. Rehearsing possibility. Most of us would like to live with wonder, grace, and optimism. Right. Perhaps it pays to practice this in advance. Practice living with wonder, grace, and optimism. When considering any given moment, is there a glimmer of good worth focusing on? Even making a comment about? So what I'm thinking about right now, is there a glimmer of good worth focusing on? Yeah, the last 14 years. Even making a comment about, yeah, I've kind of been doing that. Our narrative of reality often becomes reality. So I take that to mean if we think about a thing and we think about it in the most positive sense, that becomes our reality about the thing. But the key word is often, not always. Okay, so if I look back at the last, let's say 2012, when we moved into the learning village. This is about this time. So 14 years ago, if I think about that, think about all of the people. If I think all of the people in the last 14 years, all of the lectures, all of the poems, and most of the people have a different looking book than this. All of the memorization. I would say it had a positive impact on a lot of lives and a negative impact on, I would say, no lives. I don't think anybody was worse off by going to Larson Training Centers or Novum-u. Might not have gotten the best out of it, but I don't think anybody was worse off. There might have been a bad outcome, but that was their choosing, which goes to today's Daily Stoic. If you feel offended, that's on you. The Stoics say that's on you, because whatever the person said or did, that's nothing. That's just vibrations in the air. And if you're going to let vibrations in the air offend you, then that's a problem you have. You should have more of the attitude of, I don't like where you're coming from, but I'm not going to let little vibrations in the air upset me, because that's what they are. Righty then, let's see. Jordan Peterson, don't be weak. Yeah, so Jordan Peterson talked about that today. Don't be weak. And again, there's a little bit of confusion there between that and Daily Stoic. If you feel offended, or don't be weak. All right, so how are we doing for time? 12 minutes. Okay, so I remember back to right in the beginning of the beginning of TED Talks, or the beginning of the YouTube videos. Those occurred. Aha! Gerardo Rangel, hello, how are you today? This is the last, I don't know how long you've been on, but this is the last course in this. So I'm glad that you came on. We'll be back officially May 1st with our new program. I don't know if you've done any of these, with our new program, Funk. And this is going to be really good. This is going to be good, way better, more tools. So just kind of reminiscing now, and I think you learned about the program while you were incarcerated, right? So I can think back, I can remember back to the first lectures with the classroom in Santa Fe Springs when we bought the school after I was released from prison. And then the next year, opened a classroom in the downtown Learning Village, Tony Hsieh's Learning Village, which was greatly given to us by him, no charge. A great classroom down there. A lot of exciting stuff happening in the Learning Village as it was being built and opened, and the shopping thing next door. That was all very, very cool. Being there at the time when Tony Hsieh was trying to change downtown Vegas against a lot of opposition from entrenched people. But he had the advantage of having, I think he invested $165 million into that project. And we were there at the time that all the cool kids were around. And then a year later was the purge. The cool kids left, and we developed a good relationship, great relationship, with Mark Rowland, who was the president of the Learning Village, or the Downtown Project. Great guy. He's back in Australia. And then when the Downtown Project started imploding, and they closed down the Learning Village because it was a cash drain having this great place, and we were the only people in there, then off to other classrooms for about 4 years, including one in the Clark County Detention Center, 5th floor South Tower, for a few years, working with WellCare, their place on Boulder Highway near, Tropicana, I think. Tropicana for a few years, then on Sahara, then into Pahrump and COVID, and moving from a classroom model to a correspondence course model where we had the book. I don't know, Gerald, if you have these books or you have the blue book, the blue cover book. But yeah, hundreds and thousands of people in the program. And that is coming to an end. But it was good. It was worth it. And I think the next month, starting in May, is going to be even better, way better, way better. It's going to be mo better, way better. Now, let's talk about Simon Sinek today, talking about why leaders eat last. It's really about neurotransmitters. So this week, we're doing neuroscience, the actual neuroscience part of the neuroscience approach to success. All of our feelings, Simon Sinek will say, all of our feelings occur because of the release of chemicals in our brain. And a lot of people don't have the right mixes of chemicals in their brain, and they act abnormally. Daniel Amen will say, don't take drugs because it damages your brain. So drugs will release a way overabundance of certain chemicals, perhaps dopamine, perhaps serotonin, oxytocin, depends on what the chemical is, that is released in your brain in massive doses. And what we learn from Johann Hari, if you don't have good social relationships, that will become your go-to thing. Diana, Joy, good morning, Director. Good morning, Diana. So Diana was in the program back in COVID. Yeah, not when we closed down the day COVID hit and the classrooms were, you're done. It's closed, done. Diana was before that at Florence McClure. Right. I think she got out before COVID struck. Good to have two people here who've been in the program for Diana, I guess goes back to 2020, 6 years ago, 2021. I don't think it was before that. But so let's see, neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are released because of an external event. You know, like if we're afraid, so a devil's cocktail, like if we believe there are monsters under the bed and we wake up at night and we hear a sound under the bed or a creaking sound or scratching at the window, and we believe in vampires, we could FAFO fly around, find out